Doing good in creative, but you just can't translate it to real games? Let's fix that. Creative skills are a very sought after skill, but what's even more important is putting those to the test in real games. For the sake of this video, I'm going to assume you guys are somewhat decent in creative, but struggle making whatever you need to work in real games, well, work. The first method to improving is the skill set progression. Follow this. So say you're learning a new skill, like triple edits in creative. The first step in the progression is to practice in a private creative match. This way you can get it down consistently so it's close to muscle memory, almost there. Then you need to hop into a creative 1v1 or a pit type of match where you're versing real people. This nails the muscle memory down even harder and makes you get used to how the skill you're learning works on said real player. For example, for triple edits in a private match, you might not realize that this wall is a hazardous fail point. But in a 1v1, you find out that half the time, your enemy will get that wall instead of you. This is a good thing to know because if you're trying to edit that wall and they do, you're kind of stuck underneath your cone for an easy shot, so be wary. Of course, that's where I'm assuming most of you watching this video are. Like, you can make a move work on a real player in 1v1 or something, but only in creative. Well, the next step of that progression is to take the skill to pubs. And I know, everyone hates pubs. You'd rather play ranked and see how you stack up against opponents in your rank. But that's not how you learn or translate a skill. And while there is some truth to the idea that pressure makes diamonds, shout out Sketch, why would you choose to do that when you have another option? In a public unranked match, you are placed in a lobby of bots, people worse than you and people better than you. But in public matches, the standard deviation from the average is bigger than in ranked. Say this to the skill levels in your lobby for a public match, and this is the skill level for a ranked match. Pubs, you have lower hanging fruits to pick from and practice on, whereas in ranked, you're kind of just fighting for your life the whole time, no situations where you can really experiment. But that's why pubs are good, because you can practice new skills without the fear of losing percentage. In my experience with pubs, I've noticed out of the players that I fight, 8 out of 10 of them are usually worse than me, and out of that 8, probably 3 are bots. That means half the players you are engaging with in a pubs match are perfect for practicing on, and maybe even 80% are perfect depending on the skill you're trying to perfect. For example, if you're trying to learn a high ground retake, you need a real player to be on high ground, so that wouldn't work against bots since they don't go for height. In that circumstance, only about half the players would work, or about 5 out of 10 in my experience. But say you're trying to learn how to box someone in a real match. You can do that on ground level with bots. I've made a video talking about that, so click here after this video if you're interested. But in this circumstance, about 80% of your engagements will work because bots just roam the ground. Pubs is also a great time to see what you need to cut out or limit about your skill that you're learning. In real matches, there is a mat count and fall damage, unlike in a lot of creative maps. So say you're learning a fancy high ground retake. In a real match, you might want to cut out a couple walls or reefs from that and just do a bare bones retake so you don't use half your mats in one go. And in a real match, you now also have to consider fall damage. Like, is it worth it to go for that one side jump that you scuff half the time in creative? Or maybe you just need to build a side ramp there instead. The thing about transferring skills from creative to real games is that not everything is a perfect one-to-one transfer. So once you can get past that idea, you'll be much better in real games. Because the fact of the matter is, some things you will have to cut, adapt, limit, or change. But after figuring out that perfect real game equivalent of whatever you're learning and getting your muscle memory completely down, you're now ready for ranked and tournaments. You've completed the totem pole and now you can do your moves in a real ranked match. But that's not all. There is still some more hard evidence to tell you about, as well as some more conceptual and theoretical tips to improve your real game skill. And if you mess with that, please drop a like to boost the video and invest in the channel for more tips. And thank you to everyone that has used code reidtheninja to pick up the avatar skins. And if you haven't yet, please use my code or just another small creator's code to help us out. I mean, come on, look how cool these are. Okay, the next thing you must understand when trying to transfer creative skills to real games is the ping difference. For some reason, creative lobbies have different servers or proxy servers or something like that. I don't know how it works, but what you need to know is that in creative, your ping will be lower. That means you might get 10 to 20 higher ping when you switch to a real game, or even more for tournaments since those are all on NA Central now if you're in NA. And that difference of 10 to 20 ping can be pretty shocking. Like, any muscle memory you had before will pretty much evaporate. That's because every single server-based action will be around 20 milliseconds more now, and that includes editing and building. So this can get stuffed pretty badly. So what should you do then? Just not practicing creative anymore since you're going to be reinforcing inadequate muscle memory? That is an option. You could of course just play pubs or whatever, but that's not a great solution. What I found works well for me is switching to the next nearest server when I play creative. And I know this won't be a perfect solution for everyone, but it will work really well for a lot of you, especially those in NA. Like for example, switching from NA West to NA Central will be around a 10 to 20 ping difference in creative, just like how you'll be playing in game. Some of the other regions it might give you way more, like for example switching from Europe to Asia, but it's still worth a shot to check it out. All I know from my experience living in America, this works really well. And the last thing I want to talk about is why conceptually it seems harder in real games to play well, and I'll tell you that right now, but I also want to ask you guys to please help me out with a poll actually. I'm on the fence of where I should stream for you guys, so please check out my community tab and vote for either Twitch or YouTube. I already asked my YouTube stream on Saturday where they preferred, and I think you know. So if you want your voice heard, vote in that poll. And depending on that outcome, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube and following my Twitch, which is linked below. It's a new one, so yes, it is the one with only like 10 followers so far. Might even do a multi-stream, but we'll see. Back to the video though, why is it harder to play in real games as opposed to creative? The simple fact is, it's not, but we do perceive it that way. And we perceive it that way because of the time invested into it. Think about the 2-line example. If you're standing in a short queue at a Chick-fil-A or something, you pretty much just stand there and get your food without worrying about it. But say they open another register right there while you're in line and people start lining up. It's currently shorter, but it may not stay that way. A lot of people in that current line wouldn't want to give up their spot because of the sunk costs they've already put into waiting. But now, waiting in that original line seems like it takes forever since you know there's a shorter line right next to you. It's the same thing between Fortnite Creative and real games. I bet you that before Playground and Creative ever released, we all thought games went by pretty fast. But after playing Creative 1v1s and Forever Zone Wars and games like that, we now know there's a shorter line available. A line that fulfills our attention in much less time. For example, in a 1v1, you can die 100 times, but since you're starting the next 1v1 as soon as you die, there's no downtime. But then when you're in a real game, it feels like it takes forever. You have to take the time to farm mats, get good loot, find people, push them, and then maybe die. Like, you could die 10 times less in a real game than you do in creative, but you'll notice the consequence of it 10 times more since you'll have to do the farming and looting all over again. So in circumstances like this, when you're playing identical to how you do in creative, but in a real match, you'll still feel like you're doing worse because it takes longer. But of course, that is just a feeling, but some of you actually do play worse. So why is that? The reason is, say by your 3rd time dying, you get sick of farming and looting, so now you're cutting corners. You're getting less mats and your guns are hitting for less damage since you didn't spend the time to loot. So now you actually can't fight as good. It's no longer a feeling, that is fact. You are literally playing worse because you didn't want to do the mundane tasks early game. I know a lot of people on YouTube want a quick tip to learn how to fight better, but they don't realize that fighting better actually has a direct correlation to your farming and looting. So don't sleep on those 2 elements of your game, because if you have more mats, then you can do your crazy high ground retakes and quad edits, but not if you cut corners. But I get it, enough with the conceptual stuff, theory will only take you so far. So if you do want those specific and easy applicable tips to get more kills, I got you. I'm assuming a lot of you guys struggle in the mid game, either finding people or just surviving sweats, so if that's you, this video is about fixing that. It's the trick to surviving and getting high kill games during mid game. And that video actually has some things you can implement right away, no more theory. So drop a like if you've enjoyed, invest in the channel, and please use code reidtheninja in the item shop. If you're getting the avatar skins, using my code will be going to a good cause, me. And on that note, I am signing off.